Hello, my name is Carrie Wolf, and I'm the exhibition director here at the Dairy Barn Arts Center in Athens, Ohio. Today, we have three artists who are exhibiting in our Women of Appalachia Fine Art exhibition. I'll go ahead and let you three introduce yourselves. We'll start with Beth.
Hi, my name is Beth Nash. I live in Marietta, and I'm a painter, printmaker, drawer, mixed media. I'll do anything.
Hi, I'm Nichole Schappert, excuse me. I'm living in Knoxville, Tennessee right now, but originally from Iowa. I'm a painter and sculptor and a professor as well.
Hi, I'm Chanda Weigel. I live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm a mixed media artist. I paint, sculpt, anything.
All right, I'm gonna hand it over to you three for an artist talk.
Okay. So what is your tie to the Appalachian region, ladies?
I attended my MFA here at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. So I moved down from, sorry, my voice is just getting going this morning. From Iowa. I was in New York for a year before that and did a little bit of traveling throughout, but yeah, that's my tie here.
I've lived here in the area most of my life, except for going away to college or different places that I've lived for just small periods of time. I live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I attended West Virginia University, so I have ties there also.
And I live in Marietta, Ohio. I've lived here for a long time. I didn't grow up here, but I moved here because I like it, and that's what brings me here. Okay.
Great. Talking about the work, what do you hope that the viewer is taking away when they see your work, either in this exhibition or your work as a whole?
My work is pretty narrative, but it isn't a narrative that would be very clear. So usually I want the viewer to take away their version of the story or what they think is happening. And I work with the figure mostly, so I want them to identify in that way as they could be in that scenario.
I'm so sorry. I have one question about scale. If you're talking about the size of bodies or it being figurative work, what is the typical size of your medium?
The smallest I usually go is about 24 by 30, but I like to work really large. That feels good to me, although storage is an issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Chanda?
I feel like my work is pretty similar. I have, it's a personal narrative with the figure as the subject, but I also have different symbols in there that I think that other people could recognize and relate to and maybe construct their own version of the story. My scale, I could go really large, not usually smaller than about 24 by 24.
Great, thanks.
So do you have any significance to the title of your pieces? Do you think about the title in relation to the artwork?
I usually don't like to title my pieces, although sometimes when I'm working on it, a title will come in and I'll write that down. But it isn't always obvious.
I'm in the same boat as you are. I feel that when I do title, it seems contrived or forced. So a lot of my work is about documenting time. So I've been thinking about leaning into assigning a numerical value, such as a date when a time or when a piece is finished, or I feel like it's finished.
In my head when I'm working, I have a title usually and change the title. Like one of my pieces in the show in my mind was always titled "The Devil Must Die" because I was reading about I was reading about the witch trials, and I think about like the devil voice in your head and things like that. But I put it in a different show, and I didn't title it that. And then I had to go back to it because that was like, it was like my baby. Do like the titles, and I like when I read other people's titles and I could relate to. I feel like it adds an element sometimes to the work also.
I find that people want you to title your work
Mhm.
to them for some reason to know what you think it is.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about that. Oh, am I next?
Right.
Okay. What processes were used in making your artwork for this show?
So, I used concrete and sculpture for the process, and a lot of like molding and so many trials and errors through discovery of really working with concrete for the first time in like in trying to convey an idea. I think about concrete now as this really delicate material. It breaks so easily. And we have this association that it's holding everything up from the ground we drive on to the buildings we have. But really, it's like if it just crumbles. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm still working with concrete and trying to figure that out, but mostly sculpture.
It was one of the first times that I used a laser cutter on some of the pieces, and the way that I made some discoveries because I was studying traditional embroidery and applique and different things that are associated maybe with more with women's arts and crafts. But I was using a computer program to draw the images, and I found out that it's really tedious, just the same as you might think that like cross stitch would be or applique and things like that. So it was really interesting to see how, even though it's a new technology, that it could be related to doing like a tedious task. And I thought that was an interesting relation because I was trying to think about history and ancestry and things like that. So I feel like I could relate myself to my ancestors in a modern way.
Yeah.
I have two different kinds of processes in the show. One of them is just a straight ahead acrylic on canvas, but it's totally monochromatic, which is very different than my usual work. And I don't know why, I just wanted to try that. And because I like to be able to wipe away, I do a lot of negative takeaway instead of putting in. And so that was a whole new series that one started. And the drawing is just a large charcoal drawing with acrylic stamping. I made these stamps out of this foam material, and so I did a lot of that and using that to create the value because I really like a lot of textural action. So that was something I hadn't done before.
Great, cool. My next question is,
problems do you feel that you solved through the process of making either this artwork or, as you're progressing in your practice?
Well, one thing I solved is in the drawing, I used a little color and I really didn't like it. So I don't think it didn't work for me, but I mean, the drawing's fine. It's just, I just wanted little dabs of color, but it took away. I think it took away from the drawing.
I'm learning how to combine materials. I use a lot of different materials from found objects, furniture. I was using fabric, ceramic pieces. So I'm learning how to piece those things together. And sometimes I'll have an idea in my head and it doesn't work. And then I'll just pull different materials that I have made and it goes with a certain piece and it just happens. So I'm trying to figure out how to make my compositions using all different kind of materials and how to bring them together.
Yeah, I'm the same, where I'm figuring out the capacity of the material, of what can support it, how can it be hung without breaking, how can it be transported without breaking too.
Yes, transporting, always an issue.
So were your pieces part of a series that you created, or are they just individual pieces?
Actually, both of the pieces I have in this show were part of a series, and I used to not work in series or think I didn't work in series, but now I find I do, so I just kind of go with it. So one was the beginning of a series, and one was kind of in the middle of a series.
Yeah, this piece was a part of my MFA exhibition at UTK. So in a way, it is a part of this series. There's a few more pieces in there that are concrete or time-based, just documenting, I don't know, this sort of deterioration or death and resurrection. So in a way it is, but I have this method of working where I'm like either all in and I'm working feverishly to just like constant. It's almost like an obsession. So I think series sort of arise out of that, or I'm like a lame duck and kind of just waiting for something else to come along. So.
Mine is a part of my MFA exhibition also, so they were part of a series that I was putting together for that.
Cool.
I think I want to work more, and I would like to have a solo show, so I'm trying to create a body of work that's part of a series, another series too.
Right. I think so. Yeah.
Where do you find inspiration?
I read a lot about Buddhism and meditation and spirituality. So my practice really sort of devolves from these like greater concepts, or I don't know, ideas. Maybe not so much philosophy, but yeah, just trying to kind of think more about life itself, and going out into nature has been really helpful for me. I enjoy taking walks, or I live really close to the Smokies, so going for hikes has been beneficial to the practice. Yeah, and I'm also just working with concrete now. My father is in the construction industry, and discovering more about industrialization and this sort of like birth and destruction that it has caused and continues to cause. So
Right.
I apologize for my dogs if you could hear them.
no.
I'm reading a lot of books, so I'm inspired by my ancestry. So I'm studying European folklore, and I study like different symbols and stories about folklore, and maybe different symbols that you might find today, in patterns and baking and clothing and embroidery and things like that. So I'm trying to connect my life to my ancestors. So I'm reading a lot of books, and I'm inspired by music, poetry, things like that.
I'm just a huge people watcher. I don't necessarily want to hang out, but I do love to watch people and see their interactions and kind of make up some scenario in my mind of what's going on or what I really think is going on. So mine is more about that, kind of creating the mystery of interaction of people. I also listen to music all the time, and it really does influence my work. I'm a nature person, a huge gardener. I love cats, animals. That's my inspiration.
Great. So you've both attended the show, or just you, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your general takeaway of, I haven't been in person, but seeing it online. So that's a whole different experience of being in that installation space. What were sort of your impressions, or did anything really stand out to you?
One of the things that stood out to me is I've been a figurative artist forever. And I love seeing the figure come back in. It's not all abstraction, which I like. And it's not all landscape, but there's a lot of figurative work in the show. And I was really happy to see that. I think that was one of my big takeaways. And the craftsmanship in a lot of that work was just really top notch. That was another thing that was really good.
I planned to attend the opening and then ended up with COVID. So far away too, 3.5 hours. So I do plan to see the show, but I did notice that there were figurative pieces in there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the quality of the pieces. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I noticed that through the online exhibition as well, that there's so much figuration. I love figurative work, like big fan. I also appreciate abstraction. I think my work gravitates that way. But I'm trying really hard. I'm teaching a painting class for the first time and you getting back to these basics of like how is the figure formed, or even just color theory has been pushing me back into the studio of painting, and trying to figure that out. And also all of the mixed media and the textiles. It's a really
Yeah.
exciting exhibition.
Yeah, I've been in this exhibition for several years
Mhm.
because it used to be run by someone else, and it's really improved. It's really it's stepped up, and I'm happy to see that. The Dairy Barn always does a nice job.
Yeah, it's a great space. When I dropped off to work, I was like, oh, I need to visit Athens, Ohio again.
Yeah, it was beautiful. What are you working on currently? Do you have anything that you're making right now?
Oh, I'm an obsessive worker. I work every day. I retired in May as a professor. I was a professor for 20 some years, and it's like a dream come true. I have to say, to be able to work all the time. And people say to me, well, what are you doing? What do you do? I'm like, well, I work. This is something I've waited for to do. And so I just working like crazy.
I'm on the opposite end where I'm just starting out being a professor. So so much time I'm preaching to the choir here. Chanda, I don't know if you're going to then go and teach if you're looking for professorial work, but a lot of my time is spent developing pedagogy.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm bogged down by a lot of research, but I can say after teaching the painting class, I come home and I work because I'm so inspired by being around artists, and they're all like doe-eyed and really like excited about the materials and the presentations. So yeah, I'm work on the weekends, and then I try to do as much as possible. A lot of frustration in the studio for me, but I'm working through it.
I'm a teacher. I teach first and second grade arts. I'm all over the place teaching. So I don't plan to be a professor because I'm already,
Yeah.
involved. But my own children are adults, and my youngest is 17 now, and I feel like this is the time, like I've been waiting for exactly. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I've been making work a lot.
It's funny, people that aren't artists don't get that. They're like, well, why would you want to work all day? I'm like, because it's joy. It's total,
Yeah.
frustration, of course, and all that, but it's still totally absorbing, just doing your thing.
Great. It was such a pleasure to talk with you both. This was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Hi, I'm back. Did we get to all the questions?
I think so.
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'll just add, thanks for coming today. And if you're in or around the Athens area, make sure to stop by and check out the show. I will be adding the artist links below, so you can check out their work as well from their websites. Yeah.